صلاة الله سلام الله على طه رسول الله. صلاة الله سلام الله على ياسين حبيب الله. صلاة الله سلام الله على ياسين حبيب الله.
توسلنا ببسم الله وبالهادي رسول الله وكل مجاهد لله بأهل البدر يا الله. وكل مجاهد لله بأهل البدر يا الله.
صلاة الله سلام الله على طه رسول الله. صلاة الله سلام الله على ياسين حبيب الله. صلاة الله سلام الله على ياسين حبيب الله. Oh Allah, how just you are, Lord of all is you, Allah. We are at your service, labbaik Allah. You are one, you have no partner. We are at your service, labbaik Allah. You are one, you have no partner. Peace of Allah and blessings of Allah be on our Prophet Rasoolullah. Peace of Allah and blessings of Allah be on.
Brothers and sisters, ulama, elders, and Qibla, Mufti Sahib, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Oh dear, the rain is terrible and I can't possibly imagine how you're feeling having to stand in this weather, so I humbly apologize for that. May Allah reward you abundantly for your patience in these conditions, inshallah. It is the way of our mashayikh that before we commence any gathering, we send the durood and salam upon our beloved master, Nabiul Kareem, Rahmatul lil Alameen, Muhammadur Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. So, as difficult as it may be in these conditions, if you could all join me in reading the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين صدق الله العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. All praises to Allah Almighty who created the heavens and the earth in perfect composition. And He created the heavens and the earth in a way which is perfect, in a way to which the rules of science dictate its operation. And all praises to Allah Almighty who bestowed upon us that individual who is such in his rank, who is such in his maqam, that in this month, on the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, 1500 years ago, in this month, Allah Almighty demonstrated the maqam of His beloved. Because just as a baby child in his cot, Allah Almighty demonstrated His rank when He pointed to the stars and the moon. And Allah showed us that all of the rules of science submit to the will of His beloved. When He moved His finger and the stars and the moon in the heavens moved with His finger out of love for Him. That is the rank of our Master alayhi salatu wasalam. Such was his maqam that when he would lecture and when he would speak to a majlis like the gathering we have today, he would point at the audience and he would point at their chests and he would move that noble finger and the audience would feel their hearts moving in their chests. That is the maqam of our Master, our beloved Muhammadur Rasulullah. Now, there are many facets to this discourse, but because time is limited, I want to keep it very brief, and because you all look like you're freezing, I don't want you to issue fatwa against me because you're so cold and you want to get your food and drink. I know what Sunnis are like when it comes to langar, so I'm not going to keep you waiting. But Allah praises the entire character of Muhammadur Rasulullah. His entire character, Allah Almighty elevates Him in His entire essence. There is not a single facet of Muhammadur Rasulullah that Allah Almighty did not elevate. Two verses come to mind. The first is specific to His character, and Allah Almighty educates us. إِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُوقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Oh my beloved, your entire khuluq, your entire character is azim. It is sublime, it is perfect. And then another verse comes to my mind. When Allah Almighty tells us, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, that I have elevated and extolled the praise of Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is Allah praising and doing the naat of His beloved in Al-Quran Al-Kareem. Such is His rank. But out of all of His attributes, out of every facet of His character, there is a certain attribute that Allah Almighty praises and praises and elevates and elevates. What is that characteristic? I'm asking you, what is that characteristic? His? Oh dear, we are all asleep. Come on, wakey, wakey. What is that characteristic of, come on, have a guess. I'm interactive. Go on. Give it a go. His? Smile? Nearly. Although that is, illa masha'Allah, worthy of mention. His mercy. His mercy. And there are two verses which come to mind. Allah educates us. And sometimes when we hear verses of the Quran, we just look at it superficially. But let's look at this verse, these two verses a little bit deeper, inshallah. The first verse, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. That every facet of this universe, every atom of this universe is encompassed, it is dominated by the mercy of Muhammadur Rasulullah. Now, to look at this a bit deeper, you have two things. You have what's called sift and you have dhaat. So for example, I'm a gora. So that's my sift. Okay? That's my sift. That's my attribute. I'm white. Or I'm this height. That's my attribute. But my entire essence is my dhaat. Does that make sense? So what is greater, sift or dhaat? The dhaat is greater than the sift. Do you see? But look at what Allah Almighty is telling us. Forget the dhaat of Muhammadur Rasulullah. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Forget his dhaat. This entire universe is dominated by his single attribute of mercy. That is his rank. That is his maqam. And out of all of his attributes, Allah Almighty elevates his mercy. Another verse which comes to mind, Allah educates us. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. That I have sent from amongst you a messenger, and he grieves for you. He wants what is best for you. He is most merciful, most kind. He is Ra'ufur Rahim. You know, people say that Allah Almighty is unique in his attributes, but such is his love for his beloved that he attributes his own attributes to his beloved. That he is Ra'uf and he is Rahim. And there are two things on this point. Because who was Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam? Who was this noble individual that day in and day out we remind ourselves of him? Day in and day out we want to dedicate ourselves to him. Who is this person? Who is his lineage? You see, on this verse, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ. One of the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, he recited it in a different way. He said, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفَسِكُمْ. Not anfus, anfasikum. Why? Anfusikum, he is from amongst you. Anfasikum, he is from amongst the most noble of you. He is from amongst the most noble of you. He is from the most noble generations. His generation is pure. He is Ra'ufur Rahim. But when you look at these verses individually, it's going to get a little bit complicated now. So if you're hungry, forgive me. But Ra'uf, if you split the words apart, what word do we have? Ra'ufun Rahimun. Now why is that relevant? Because you see, if I had a book before me, the book individually would be Al-Kitab. Al-Kitab, one book, that book. Whereas if I was to say Kitabun, it refers to every book in the universe. Every single book in existence is encompassed by Kitabun. But look at the attributes of Muhammadur Rasulullah. Allah is saying, Ra'ufun Rahimun. Why? Why are these terms used? Because he is telling us that the mercy and the kindness of Muhammadur Rasulullah knows no limits. It knows no limits. Ra'ufun Rahimun. It's indefinite in his mercy. This is who we are. But our community as Muslims lacks this key facet. It lacks this key attribute. We have no mercy amongst each other. And there's a saying, how can you expect the most merciful to bestow his mercy upon you if you are not most merciful amongst yourselves? If you are not merciful to the creation, how can you expect Allah Almighty to be merciful to you? And our community lacks this. We hold grudges against each other. We hold things against each other. But I ask you all the question, have any of you wronged somebody? Yes or no? Put your hands up. If any of you don't put your hands up, there's three things that come to mind. You're not listening, you're lying, or you're so hungry you've fallen asleep. They're the only three options. Because we've all wronged somebody. But the question is, has anybody ever wronged you? Put your hand up. Of course they have. It's life, isn't it? And the question is, if they have wronged you, if you have wronged someone, it's their duty to forgive you. But if they have wronged you, what have you done to forgive them? Such was the love and the mercy of Rasulullah ﷺ to all of this creation, that you hear the story often recited, that he had a mimbar built for him, isn't it? And he used to stand on a piece of wood. Look at this. I see Muslims, cuss me when I see this outside of a masjid. I want to get my chappal off. It's really bad. And I see people, they're spitting on the floor after Salatul Jum'ah. And they don't realize that that floor you're spitting upon will testify against you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Everything in this creation is alive. And it will testify against you. Throughout the Quran, we see verses where Allah reminds the mushrikeen, I will ask the idols, did you command their ibadah to you, their worship? Why? Because they're aware, just in a way that you can't comprehend. But the Prophet ﷺ, his mercy was not just upon the people, upon ins, it was upon everything. So when he started using a mimbar, the Sahaba narrate, we heard a sound. We heard a sound. What was that sound? It was that piece of wood he used to stand upon. It was crying. The Prophet ﷺ was no longer stood upon it. And what did he do? He picked up the piece of wood like a child and he cradled it. And he comforted that piece of Allah's creation. That was his mercy. That was who he was. That is the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. Or when, I mean, you know how it is. In this day and age, we get insulted by someone does our bestie, right? And that's it. It's all over Twitter and Facebook. Someone offends you once, you're publishing photos of that conversation where he insulted you on Twitter. You're tagging your mates in it. And it's like, bro, look what he said to me. And then the whole world is exposed to that fitna between you. Huh? But look at this. We get insulted when someone says something. You know, I mean, you know when you're having an argument with someone as kids and they say, well, your mum is this. And that's it, you see red. And then you say, well, your mum is this. And back and forwards. And it goes from your mum to your dad to your dog. It goes from everything. But this is what it's like. But look at the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. That a woman, you've heard these stories before. You've heard these stories before. But you have to apply the message of the stories. If you just hoard knowledge without purpose, without application, then Allah Almighty refers to such people as donkeys in the Quran. You have to apply the ilm. And when you talk about the stories of Rasulullah ﷺ, it is, if I was to tell you the masala of fiqh for say wudu, first time, no problem. Second time, all right. Third time, now you're getting irritating. Fourth time, I'm bored. My head is spinning. There's only so much you can learn. But when it comes to the stories of Muhammad Rasulullah, it doesn't matter how many times you've heard the same story, you still feel inspired by that. Because you are created to love him. You are created to love him. And this is key. The Prophet ﷺ was walking and there was a woman, you heard this story, she was carrying bags. How many Muslims carry bags for non-Muslims in this day and age? Yet, this woman, he picked up her bags and he walked with her. And what did she do? She didn't say thank you. She started saying, she actually liked the Prophet ﷺ. She thought, right, I better warn him. She goes, have you heard about this person called Muhammad? And for the whole journey, she insulted him. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. And the Prophet ﷺ smiled. That beautiful smile. Smile, smile, smile. Not paying attention. Then at the end, she goes, I didn't even ask your name. We've walked for hours. And I didn't even ask your beloved name. What is your name? He said, I am that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And she accepted Islam. Because this is what this deen is. It's a deen of muhabba. It's a deen of character. It's a deen of transformation. If you're the same person after listening to dars after dars after dars, then what is the barakah of that knowledge? We have to transform with that knowledge. Such was his smile that Hazrat Aisha radiallahu an, she was sewing his clothes, his Mubarak clothes. And she dropped her needle and her source of light extinguished. It went out. And she narrates that the Prophet ﷺ entered the room and he smiled. And she goes that the room illuminated with the light from his smile. That was his smile. His smile was enough to put even the most distressed hearts at ease. And this is why he said smiling is sadaqah. And I want to finish on this point because it's very cold and I want you all to warm up and I don't want you to have to keep listening to me and get colder and colder. But his smiling is sadaqah. But why? Why is smiling sadaqah? Is it because when I smile at someone I get the barakah of sadaqah? It's a very superficial thing, isn't it? So I'm smiling at this beautiful brother here. Smile. So now we have the, smile back. Now we have the barakah of sadaqah together. I mean, I'm looking at some of you and you look like you're on trial for murder. And there's some very good criminal lawyers in the audience, I assure you, who, if you are, they'll sort you out. But, you know, smile. You're not on trial for murder. Yet Muslims are the most fearsome people. I walk into a masjid, which they don't know me at, and they frown at me. Who is this guy? You know, Babaji sat there with the tasbih, and he's looking at me, and I had such bad experiences back in the day. He's like, who is this guy? What's a white guy doing in the masjid? It's ajib. But smiling is sadaqah. You see, the literal meaning of zakah is to purify. But the reason why we use the Prophet ﷺ, Allah Almighty, use this word for charity is because when you pay charity, it purifies your wealth. Do you see? When you pay charity, it purifies your wealth. But why is smiling sadaqah? Because sadaqah is lesser charity. So if you have fear that some bad is coming to you, or if you've done a sin, you pay sadaqah because it purifies. Why is smiling sadaqah? Because when you smile at somebody, it purifies the relationship between you. So this is why the Prophet ﷺ, they would smile at everybody. Such a beautiful smile that they had. So it's very easy to get caught up in a speech and all we say is MashaAllah, Subhanallah, Nare Takbir, Nare Risal. You know how it rolls. That's it. But the actual essence of you standing here before me and giving your precious time to me is that you're meant to take something away and you're meant to implement it. Now, I've given you two things, to smile and to have mercy. So I hope that you all make the intention that I will become more merciful and I will start to smile more. Because there will come a day when you hope that Allah Almighty will have mercy upon you. And if Allah Almighty doesn't have mercy upon you, what will you do? So have mercy upon those around you. This is the month of mercy. So I want you all to say, inshallah, make the intention, I will forgive everybody who has wronged me today. And not just, yeah, I've forgiven them, bro. I mean, you will actually forgive that person. Say inshallah. Say inshallah. Because this deen is a deen of rahmah. It's a deen of muhabba. And if you have no mercy and love between each other, then what are you? You're just a robot, isn't it? Huh? You should, one Muslim, Hazrat Khawaja Gharib Nawaz, rahimahumullah, he went to the sub-Pac continent and he reverted millions of individuals. Most of your ancestors became Muslim at the hands of Hazrat Khawaja Gharib Nawaz. One person. Why? His character. And look, I'm stood before hundreds of Muslims. Yet the UK, we have a population of 56 million. There are 2 million Muslims in the UK. We have 2% of this population, give or take, a bit less. A bit more, sorry. My maths isn't very good. We have a small percent of this population, yet we are 18% of the prison population. Why? This small percentage of you, forget the UK, the entire world should be Muslim if we truly embody this religion. If one person resulted in you being Muslim today, can you imagine what you're all capable of? You have to understand that you're here for an objective and a purpose. So be merciful and smile more. When you smile, the whole world smiles back. Turn that frown and turn it upside down, inshallah. Okay? Thank you for listening to me in this awful weather. May Allah Almighty bless you and grant us all the tawfiq to change. Looks like I've stopped just at the right time. Wa jazakallahu khairan. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum.